I'm going to work on making a pixie dress. A couple weeks ago there was a neon green tulle similar to this prom dress at one of my local thrift stores, and I passed it by repeatedly because I kept thinking, what on earth could I make out of a neon green prom dress? Once the dress was already gone, then I thought, oh my goodness, I could have made a pixie dress. So I found this dress in a store this past weekend, and I am excited to try making a pixie dress. The first thing we want to look at is the dress and the different detailing that it has and the different ways that it was constructed. This is a size 22 corset back prom dress. It has a lot of beads and sequins on the top of the bodice. It also has some built-in bra cups that look like they've been added to the dress. The back is a corset back, and it does have the modesty panel. Sometimes when you buy dresses at a thrift store, this will be missing. Someone already did a little bit of alteration on this dress, and they have, interestingly, folded under and tacked down every other corset loop, which kind of makes it a lot faster for corseting. It does show more skin if you don't have the modesty panel, but it does make it go a lot quicker. If I were making a stage costume and my character would have fast costume changes, I would need to do something with this corset lacing. I have left corset lacing in some dresses, and again, we do kind of like this where we only lace a few of them, and that will work. To begin with, I want to see what I have to work with, and that means going underneath of the dress. The bottom layer of this dress is some of that same neon green. This is lining fabric, just hemmed with a serged hem, and this makes your lower petticoat. We have actually 3 different rows of petticoat net. One way here at the bottom, then this middle, or excuse me, 2 rows of petticoat net, and the middle one has a ruffle on it. I don't think I want this, and so probably for right now I am going to go ahead and just cut this out. I think I'll leave maybe an inch and a half so that I'll have a little bit of seam allowance in case I decide I want to add some back, but I think for right now I'm just going to cut this petticoat out. Over the top of this petticoat we have a single layer of net. This helps our prom dress skirt lay smoothly. On top of that we have the next layer of skirt. This one has a narrow little hem on the bottom, and again is that same neon green color. On top of this we have 1, 2, 3, 4 layers of tulle. And this is going to be what I envision to be most of what makes the pixie skirt. So probably what I'm thinking is that I'm going to measure down about how long I want the finished skirt to be, and then I am going to cut that top layer of underskirt. What I haven't fully decided is whether I want to make a lot of angles or whether I want to make just a few larger angles. I'm kind of leaning toward a lot of small angles, but I haven't decided entirely. So after I cut this into the angles, I'm going to have to finish those edges somehow. I can use my pinking shears. I also can run a line of straight stitching, maybe 1/4 to 1/2 inch away from the edge to keep it from raveling. I also could run some non-fray material along the edge, although that could get a little pricey because it's going to be a lot of surface area, I think, and it does take time to dry, so sometimes I don't always like to stop for that to dry. Then I'm going to cut my skirt, and I think I'm going to cut it in single layers so that they're all going to be different. I anticipate that I may want some of this fullness. I think that this fullness we may want to add some extra bits of tulle to make this poof out a little bit more. I think I'm going to leave this lower layer of petticoat net, and I'm going to cut it in some strips to try to give it some poof, but I'm not 100% sure. Petticoat net can be really itchy, and so if I've taken out this bottom layer, it could be itchy. The other option that I have, once I start to measuring, is that I did think about trimming this lower layer, like right above that second line of petticoat net here. And that would give me, oh, you know, almost about 12 inches of a little underskirt that would protect, you know, protect your skin from this petticoat net and from the tulle. And then if you had like a pair of Spankies or short shorts underneath of there, that would give you a little bit of protection and coverage, and then the others could kind of go down past that level. That's something I haven't quite decided on yet, and I'm going to have to think about that. I do think that I'm going to need to provide a little bit of something up here. There may be people, you can see this dress wants to slide. There may be people who are comfortable showing all of this cleavage up here. There are other people who may not be comfortable with that. The Pixie that we're most familiar with often is shown with a strapless dress, and so I may leave it here, but I do think I'm going to come up with something with all of this leftover tulle that I can fill in a little bit for modesty up here if that interests somebody. I'm not going to be worried about wings. There are lots of commercially available wings. Somebody could pick some up if they wanted to. I probably will use a little bit of tulle maybe to make a hairpiece or make some little pom-poms to put on the shoes. I don't really know. We're going to see where we go with this. So here we have it. Let's see what happens. Alright, I have cut the lower level of the petticoat off. I ended up cutting it at below, like right above the level of the second tier of petticoat net. That's when I realized that the underskirt had been shortened, and this layer of petticoat was not even at all. So I had to go back, and I couldn't find my yardstick, so I marked it, put a mark on a dowel, and went around and marked the skirt, and then I trimmed that off. So now I'm going around on this lower piece of petticoat net and cutting zigzag shapes out of it. These aren't necessarily even. I don't want them even. I'm just kind of going around and just doing this freehand. So I'm going to keep doing this for a long time. Alright, so now I have the next layer of the skirt down. You can see here we have that underskirt layer, and then we have the petticoat net. I want to mark on here, I think, about where I want the top of the zigzags to come. And so I'm going to take my stick and make a mark with a Sharpie. And then I'm going to use a heat-sensitive pen to go around and mark that level of my dress, and that is going to give me a level to a line to go around and line up my my cuts with, so that I can keep them relatively even going around the dress. This heat-sensitive pen, as soon as you iron it, it disappears, so it's a good thing to mark with on a temporary basis. I don't need this to be a solid line. It can just be some little dashes, and then I'm going to go back and, like I said, kind of cut, but at least I'll be able to kind of keep my zigzags relatively even.
I wanted my skirt to be fuller, so I used these leftover strips of tulle and cut the side opposite the jagged edges to make long strips to attach underneath of the skirt. I squish gathered 4 layers of tulle underneath of the skirt, so it is a lot fuller. Then I ran some string sequins along the edges of the underskirt. I put some Hotfix jewels on the skirt. They will show through the tulle.
So after working on the dress, this is where I am. Underneath of here, as I showed you, I added 4 more layers of the tulle, which I just squish gathered onto the different layers. I put one way on the bottom, on that bottommost layer that I showed you to give it a little bit of length. I put one at the top to give it a little more poof. I put one layer right underneath of the petticoat net, so underneath of our fashion fabric, and then I put one right up at the top. And so we've added a lot of poof, and now we have 8 layers of tulle in addition to the like 6 layers we had already. I also added the sequins to the trim along the edges, and I like the way they show through. I put some Hotfix jewels on the skirt that should show through as a person moves around and glitters a little bit. And now I want to add a little bit of glitter to the overskirt. And so I had this tulip spray glitter paint, which I'm trying to use. It's a little bit hard on this tulle because the tulle has so many holes that it's masking through. So what I did was I masked all the other layers of tulle, and I put a tarp down on my floor to kind of protect it. And what I'm kind of doing is spraying an area with the paint. A lot of it goes through, so then I'm kind of coming back and rubbing the tulle on here to try to pick up more of the paint from the back of the plastic wrap. It seems like that we are getting a little more of the paint on there, and I'm just hoping that it will glitter when we're done. My other option is to hand glue sequins or gems individually all over the dress, and I could do that, but that would take a long time. So I am just spraying sections at a time and then trying to get some of that, more of that glitter paint onto the tulle. So after a little experimenting, I've kind of come up with some different ideas how to put the glitter stuff on. With the tulle, if you kind of wad it up into a wad and then kind of put it on and spread it around, that keeps most of it on the fabric. The other thing is, as I'm doing some of the bottom parts, I'm just squirting a little bit on my hand, and then I'm rubbing it up and down the strips on the bottom. And again, that's keeping most of it on the fabric instead of falling onto the ground. So this is creating a very subtle glitter. If you wanted bigger glitter, you could use a glitter wash with, I've used like Elmer's glue and water with glitter. That would not be washable. This tulip paint should be washable, which would be a plus. Next, I'm going to put a few crystals down around the bottom of the skirt. I'm using E6000 glue, and I am going to glue my crystals on. Gluing onto tulle is not the easiest thing. My hands are going to be full of glue by the time I'm done. But I think it's going to make it pretty. I could do Hotfix crystals. So I did a couple on here, but my nicer crystals that I have are not Hotfix. And so I'm just going to take the time to glue them. And sometimes it's actually quicker. A lot of those Hotfix gems take 13 to 15 seconds a piece to Hotfix on. And these I could just put a dab of glue on and then go. The other thing is with this way I can see where I'm putting them as the dress is hanging, whereas otherwise I'd have to either try to Hotfix in the air, or I have to do it flat, and then it makes it a little bit harder to see where I'm putting things. Obviously, the more expensive your crystals are, often the prettier they are. They also, the bigger they are, the more they're going to show up. That also makes them more expensive. So it is really easy to, you know, if you're embellishing, to add $20, $30, $50 or more onto the cost of an outfit just by putting a few gems on. So I'm not going to put a lot on, but just enough to give it a little bit extra bling. So here we are with the finished pixie dress. I made a little hair, you know, bun sort of thing. This is just a piece of elastic that I tied into a circle, and then I tied pieces of extra tulle around it. And you could put this around your head or on a bun or wherever you wanted to. I went ahead and pinned some straps in. These are just pinned in with safety pins so that they could be removed if you chose not to wear it. I think this would be cute with like a white t-shirt underneath if you wanted to cover up a little bit more, or if it was winter. This is the modesty panel. Right now this is just set in there, but again, you could put it in there and that's just secure it with a few pins so that it would be easily removable. This is just a piece of fabric, and to do this I measured from here to here and then from here down and just made a little pad with some bling on it. The dress, unfortunately I don't think you can see the glitter. My light is just not good for that, and we are having a very cloudy day. The glitter does subtly glitter when a little bit of light gets on it. So I think that if you were outside in the sunshine, your skirt would have a little bit of subtle glitter. I would say I think I was a little disappointed in the amount of glitter from the glitter paint, and if I were going to do this again, I might try something different. And you can see that we get a little bit of bling from the sequins. I think they're very nicely blingy, and the gems that I glued on also provide a little bit of extra sparkle. The only thing I used in addition to the dress that I bought was this little piece of fabric here that I used as a backing, and some elastic, and then the gems and the paint. I also used the bottom of the dress to make a pair of bloomers. These just have a simple drawstring waist, and then I made a little casing with elastic in the bottom. This is really adjustable. I have them set so that they're fairly loose right now, but you could easily tighten them up to fit underneath of the dress. This I just made from the bottom portion of the dress that I cut off. I'm really happy with how this little pixie dress turned out, and I hope that this post inspires you to look beyond what you see in the store and think what you could make out of something. As always, happy costuming.